right, everybody, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the close in what is the first weakness we've seen here for a little while in the markets. Let's just quickly load up this US 500, talk about where we're at. How's everyone going today? You going well? Hope you're going very, very well. What do you think, guys? I want to know what people think for the next session. Let's talk about Friday's session. Down or up? Big bull, big bear? Let me know in the comments right now. I would like to see your opinions. See your opinions before we get started in this. Let's look at the SPX. We'll use the real market whenever possible, obviously, to make decisions rather than the futures market. You can see here what the real market looks like in comparison and where we're really tracking at this point. So we've seen some pretty interesting stuff. I obviously wasn't able to make a video yesterday, but we did have a couple of interesting breakout downs. So we had a bit of decision made on quite a few time frames. We obviously got through that 46.75. Anyone that was trading underneath that and decided, okay, well, this is where I'm going to start shorting the market, they would have done all right, as in they would be in their shorts. I think it's quite relevant to be in shorts around that area if you're looking at from the perspective of breaking some trends to the downside. You've obviously got through the 20 moving average here on the 2 hour. You've changed trend to a degree, and you know where you're looking. And you're looking at, of course, the first level being the 20 exponential moving average. This is the 4,600 area. Let's see what you guys think. It looks like you're a bit of bullish, bearish, kind of in the middle. Bull Friday, bear. Look out below. I'd be scared long term, says Jay Nibble. Surprised about that. Negative 1% day tomorrow, says Peter. So let's just quickly measure this out for everyone. If we went down to the exact low, I see where Peter's got his from. he's looking at that thing. And Benjamin the broker says Yogi Bear. Benjamin the broker. Are you actually a broker, Benjamin? Or are you more of a retail broker? As in you trade? Very interested to know. Let me know, Benjamin. I want to know whether you're a broker or not. Message me. All right, here we go. Markets are currently flat as a tack on what is technically a bank holiday, obviously not a trading holiday yet. We know a few things about the markets, and those are that Thanksgiving is coming up, and that actually Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving is pretty good. So the market actually has a few seasonals throughout the year or public holidays. And again, I want the chat to kind of figure out here, what do we think generally happens in Thanksgiving weeks, chat? What do you guys reckon? What do you think happens in Thanksgiving weeks? So remember, that's coming up very, very soon in the US. What's the general trend? Now, market down to 20 moving average is what I expect as well. So that's my expectation. I wouldn't be surprised if Friday does short into this zone. It would be surprising for it not to. We've also got Resiliva, thank you very much, upgrading their membership to Day Trader. Appreciate that. And Benjamin the broker says, I'm a real estate broker. Fair enough, man. No problem with real estate. See, a lot of people, when they don't understand investments, they become haters in certain investments. Have you noticed that, guys? They hate on crypto investors. They hate on real estate investors. They hate on bond investors. They hate on people that buy businesses. And then, of course, they'll say, only my market is good. Stocks are the only good market. Well, I've got some news for you. What do you think I think about all of this? Well, they hate on like gold or anything and say, oh, that's the worst thing ever. There's a time and a place, in my opinion, for most of those investments. And if you know how to pick them, there is one thing I hate, soft commodities. But the reason is because you're actually always buying synthetics. And synthetics are incredibly expensive. Now, there are ways to, I'm sure, buy it that isn't a synthetic, but they're hideous from that aspect. So I do hate on soft commodities because I think it's just like a tornado fest. But yeah, that's where I'm at. 4,600, most logical conclusion. I just can't see us not getting here. But that's obviously more of a gut instinct. And the fact is that we've seen previous drops to the 20 moving average. It seems hard to believe we wouldn't get there right now. Let's have a look at the NDX. We're obviously coming into the close here in about 25 minutes. Let's just quickly scroll through and find the NDX. Very similar type of scenario. 20 moving average seems very, very likely. possibly even that chance of the 50 on both these indices. That would be a super duper pullback. And the reason we always say these types of things are possible is because when you go and you think about previous very big rallies. So when you get those kind of big rallies, especially when they time to potential seasonals, you sometimes get that second drop in them. And you also have another big rally here with another big drop. So it's not unprecedented that it rallies hard, drops hard, and then, of course, rallies after that. Now, there has been some where it's just gone double bottom all the way up. And you'll say, but Tom, did you check out May into July period? It was just a bull fest. I agree. Very likely that we still get bull fest into the end of the year. I think it's unlikely we go down heavily, but this has still been a very aggressive market. A lot of concerns are still there. Obviously, you've got this Fed stuff that people talk about. Personally, I think that's not really a big deal. So some people say inflation. I still say don't care at this stage. Some people say Fed stuff. I think that's an excuse. And then some people obviously talk about the Evergrande situation. Now, this I have mentioned several times is the real deal. Okay, it's the real deal. But just because it's the real deal doesn't mean that in some ways China won't save part of the company or do that type of thing. I think the market triggered that when it was down here, and really they found out that, of course, China was saying, hey, Mr. CEO, dude, how about you use some of your money to pay back some of this debt? This is my opinion only. And when that happened, I think the market kind of looked at that similar to me and said, okay, cool. We've got the CCP on side. They're most likely going to say, this is your punishment to set precedent so that it isn't like, oh, we're going to bail every single person. And then they're going to try to fix it as best they can. It's in their best interest, and that's one of the big things. Let's move over to the IWM. So we've got 220 moving averages. Here's IWM. IWM stronger today. It is our favorite index at the moment, which is hard to believe, isn't it? Considering I hated on IWM all year. But this is the power of technicals. You've got to change. Once you see that close above here, you change your situation and you start to say, okay, let's go bull. And if you bought it around here, you'll be in a better situation than you would be in the Nasdaq and the S&P, because we know that when this happened, that the market was basically topping on the other sides. And I still kind of think that the seasonal is pretty strong here. So we've got this movement where if it does come back down to the 20, we've got resistance, 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 support. And this kind of why I look at it from the perspective of most of these indices really make sense to go to the 20, if not 50 max. So will it go lower? Yeah, I think there's still a chance it goes down here. I mean, I haven't changed anything. This is the actual area that I think IWM could go down to is at deepest down to here, 229. And the reason why is because of the S&P 500, which is basically going to detail where everything goes. Let's move through a couple of other stocks. So we talked about the put wall here on Tesla. For anyone that doesn't know, let me just load this up for you. I'll use the private community room. 1 second, guys. We talked about that $1,000 put wall. Elon has supposedly sold all of his stock, if I remember rightly. It's all gone now. Let's show you this. See what they've done with it. All right, so here we go. Wow, it's totally changed. The landscape has changed. And look at that. The put wall has disappeared. So this is the expiration for the 12th. And check this out. There was so many puts sitting on 1,000. So as the market came down, that person has actually closed the positions off. There were so many sitting around this $1,000 mark in comparison to others. They've closed a lot of these out. So you need to always be aware of that. So there was so much sitting here. That's all gone. Interesting. China plans a soft implosion on Evergrande. There we go. Now, regardless of how you feel this whole thing went down, I think there's always sneakiness behind most decisions being made, but we won't discuss that today. What's going to happen with Tesla next? Well, you've kind of taken the wind out of it a little bit. So what that means is by having 10% flogged off to the market, it obviously dropped the market 20%. Now, that's partially to be expected when you've got the CEO and all the other dudes on the board kind of filing to sell it. The next question becomes, well, okay, since we've gone up, we've obviously had that really big rally. How often have we seen a rally followed by a second rally without a pullback consolidation? And I would argue incredibly rarely, as in these types of big bull runs have usually, when they started dropping, it goes into consolidation. So the bad news, I think, for Tesla fans is that we could be in consolidation now for some time. What do you think, chat? You guys have got the big brains. What do you think? Timo says, from here, from where does he get those put walls and so on? I'm getting them from our private community. So that's just in the robot and the private community. You can join it, 7-day free trial in the description below if you want to give it a crack. And that's where you can get them from. All right, let's look at some of the other markets, because I'm going to say gold, yes, and silver. Who has been on the train of gold and silver, guys? Now, this is where it's been really exciting. Did you see how we switched on the channel and we went, hey, we're back? Did you see that? How we did that? We suddenly came back in and started covering it again. Yes, yes, yes. My goodness. Check it out. It's pretty damn fine. All right. So we've got the resistance breakout of the 1832 area. We talked about this for ages now. I spammed it. I talked about it quite a lot. And there was a really, really great, reasons why this is important. Now, the good thing about gold at this stage is that there's more in it. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of potential on how far gold could potentially go. It's got that 1910 in it. Then if it breaks through 1910, it's got the potential of the 1960. And then, of course, breaks 1960, we've got others. We also know our seasonal strength coming into January. December often has been a very bullish month here for gold. So it started a little early, and that's what happens with seasonals. You got to be aware of, you're not even going to time it exactly to the day or anything like that. But the rallies have been fairly bullish and fairly great in terms of, look at the percentage here. The percentage of this rally is about 9-10%. Now, that might not sound like a lot to some traders, but remember, gold's mostly traded by leverage traders. So when you're talking about 9-10%, this is only 4% up to here. So it's a pretty significant move. Now, gold's break, I like it a lot. Big fan. How does it play out now? A lot of people will ask. Well, I think you've got to go down to the smaller time frames, and you've got to start to figure out what moving average you think this might be following. And at this stage, I'm thinking it's following the 4-hour 20 moving average in terms of drops and pullbacks. So I'm going to be watching gold again. I'm still in it. I've got the plan. The plan is in place, but I also wouldn't mind trading within it. And that's what you do. When you recognize what you believe is participation from an educational standpoint, then if you believe that up to here is likely to occur, then you might look for pullbacks and be bullish in general towards those pullbacks. So gold, very, very cool. We move over to silver. Silver also fantastic here. I mean, silver just really spectacular trade. Couple of different trades here. There was the bullish hammer that came off. We've obviously got the head and shoulders, left shoulder, head, right shoulder technique. We've got the breakout that's occurring today. Significant. We'll cover it on the video as well. I mean, this is great. By the way, thanks so much to the 600 plus people here. I wanted to give massive shout out to all you guys. We might even be able to do it during this stream. We're approaching 70,000 subs. And I want to say thank you to each and every one of you that shares the channel, that supported us since the beginning. We've got people here that have been here since I was at 50 subs and still here. Shout out to you, some of the mods that have done that. And I just want to say thanks to the community, because you guys really keep me doing this stuff. And while I'll keep doing it myself anyway, it keeps me coming back to do this. So I do appreciate it. Thank you. Let's see this daily hammer. We've got that rejection out. And of course, the closure above. This is what they call a decision made kind of position. I just want to show everyone how this makes it. And remember, look at the left-hand side of the story. I had a few emails about this. I'll see if I can get back to them. And this is just from general community. And they said, I think I know what you mean by the left-hand side. Probably you don't know yet, but what I get at is if it was acting technically before, e.g. when it broke out here and it had the smaller inverse head and shoulders in it, our expectation was that to this point here, 2480, it came to the resistance, then it sold straight off. Now that shows me that this was acting technically. So what does that give me more confidence in. It gives me more confidence that if we have a larger pattern here, that if we're proofing that to the tops, e.g. over here, which is where we're proofing it to, that there's more likelihood this could be successful. And this is a serious move. So coming into the close here, silver is actually breaking out. Silver is looking very, very good. It needs appropriate stops, obviously, but it's very fantastic looking trade. It's kind of like how with oil, we've just sat here and said, okay, we believe it's sideways since 86. Am I a soothsayer to say that? No, I'm not. I'm just somebody that's gone, okay, we've hit a key technical resistance. If it breaks above here, I've got to admit that the chances to 92 are high. So for oil fans, that's what I'm looking at. But I said, and I believe, consolidation. And the reason I believe consolidation is we had a great move, makes sense. All the indicators are going to be super overbought here. Not that I care, but they're all going to be super overbought. And then it's going to consolidate for a little while. And if it is going to break out, which I don't know, but if it is going to break out, I'm looking for a new all-time peak. Once that occurs, it opens the next participation zone. This is the way that things move. Thank you very much, Music. Appreciate that. And Vimal says, I missed the intro soundtrack. Don't worry, Vimal. It's coming back next week. It's all good here. Tom, when will we see the good old market open streams? Paul, daylight savings change next year, probably. I'll do some of them. I might do, but realistically, it's a lot harder for me to do the opens. I mean, 1:30 a.m. ain't going to happen right now. Thank you very much, Barack. I appreciate that. And thank you, everybody else. Yeah, we're very, very close to, if not on that 70,000. So I do appreciate you guys. So commodities have come alive here. I think gold and silver certainly are looking fantastic. We'll just quickly look at this US dollar index because this is unusual in some ways. The DXY has broken past 94.50. Everything happened in the previous stream. I mean, it's kind of sad I missed yesterday's video because the confirmations were insanely good. I mean, look at this DXY breakout, significant. Many people say this is like a risk-off kind of asset as well. But I just look for Forex traders, amazing. And actually rare that the DXY is going up. So the US dollar is going up, yet gold is still strengthening and silver is still strengthening against the US dollar. That's really strange in some ways. And the DXY is in a full-on double bottom. So this is another participation phase. I mean, everything's heating up here. Some fantastic moves coming through all these pairs. Anyway, you probably want me to talk about stocks. So let's get into the stock market here. Let's talk about what's happening in stocks in general. Dave, if you're around, man, if I had any super chats, please let me know. I didn't see any, but if I did, then we'll check them out. Let's now have a look at Apple. So Apple's underneath the 150, and you might say, well, Tom, you said 150 is important. I did. The problem is the div and the earnings. So now that we're after the div and the earnings, we don't get as much strength from it. And I think the reason this breakout was so weak was because the div was coming and the Nasdaq overall, remember, we can't ignore the big signal was hitting that resistance high. So you can never ignore the big signal. The indices are a good tool to make sure that you're not buying into some kind of insane resistance or you're not buying into some rally that's clearly going to stop or something like that. It's very important. Thanks very much, Dave. Where do I think Apple goes? Well, if we're going to hit the daily 20, I feel like it's going back to this red zone, 146. 146, 145. Now, do I still think you can hit a 162, 165 by the end of the year? The answer is I believe it could. I don't see why the rally won't continue, and I think Apple's an okay candidate for that. It's been hovering now for a little while. In some ways, it's been lackluster. I mean, here's 26th of January 2021. We're looking at 145. We're sitting at 147. Then we go back 3rd of September 2022. We're sitting at a 137. And this is what some people forget. 137 over here. We're sitting at 147. That is September 2020. So some people might say, well, Apple's the easiest investment of all time. Sure, but if you accidentally buy the wrong FOMO peaks, it's not that good in comparison to the whole index, is it? Apple has been semi-disappointing due to the shortages. Got Paul Scaglia. Thank you very much, Paul. SAR $50. Thank you very much. Been loving the streams and TA. Can you review GEVO? We looked at it before the earnings. We were yesterday. It met expectation. Now it's above 734 point you mentioned. Cheers. Thank you very much, Paul. We'll check that out in just a second here. So Apple, interesting. Let's go over to Square. A few people asking me about this one. So Square's dropping off a cliff. PayPal, we'll have to look at that in a second. It's down to its first support. So around this 220 area has traditionally been very strong support. Then, of course, underneath that, if it was to get past 220, highly likely it goes to the 200 bracket. And that's where you don't expect Square to get underneath. Like if it got underneath 200, oh boy, oh boy, it would be bad. So first support for a lot of investors is here. For a trader, it's very difficult to buy this unless you scale in, because what you're really doing is you're saying, okay, I like Square, I like the company, whatever, that's cool. But a trader wants confirmation, guys. There's a difference between trading and investing. Buying the dip and just buying random dip prices is not trading. It is an investor's mentality. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't hate investors. I think you always need, even if you're a trader, you need to have investments. So you take your profit from maybe trading and invest it in. Of course you do. Are you crazy? Of course you do. That's what you've got to do. But Square is the area where, like this 220, it's interesting, but there's no turnaround story here. And that's the problem for a trader. We haven't got this turnaround at this stage. Let's check out Paul's super chat here. We'll do GEVO. We'll keep going until we'll do a bit of a rapid fire 752. I'm not super looking at stocks, and there are a few reasons, because the indices look weak. The problem we've got is, do we really want to buy anything today if we believe the indices are looking a little bit weak? We believe they're going to the daily 20. Let's just say that is our belief. Well, if our belief is that, then we've got to maybe be ready to buy the dip or ready to buy investments when the index tells us it's okay to do so. So is today's the best closeout for the bullish side on most stocks? Some will be good, some won't. So this is GEVO. We've come into the top of our downward trend here. We haven't quite got through it, but good news is the earnings is at least out of the way. Looks like it met expectations, which is consistent with not a huge blowout kind of day. Up, down, all around, big rally, big drop. Let's now go into the 4 hour so we can try to pinpoint what closure we require to actually be excited about this. And I would probably go with, from a technical perspective, you need to breach this top end range. So probably you need around a $7.98. And once you get that, so $7.98, you've kind of got your confirmation. Now, if you preferred to get in right now because you think, yeah, but I think it's right around the zone I want to get into it, you could possibly look at scaling as well and using a portion and then rewarding the trade as it goes up, as it gives you confirmation. The big thing for you is going to be getting that weekly out. So weekly above any of these prices here. See how the weekly has been unable to breach? Lots of rejections, no closure. So I think the weekly, which is only 1 day away, will be your teller. If that goes green, it looks healthy, the earnings is out of the way, guidance maybe was okay, then there's more ticks on the chart. So thank you so much there, Paul. Hopefully that makes sense and helps you out. Rob Lee, $2. What's your buy signal for ATVI when they fire everybody? Is that fair, Rob? Not the staff, but they fire all of the all of the top ends, especially that stupid CEO guy. And then he says, morals aside. I'm not talking about morals. I'm just thinking about games. And when they fire them all, then I'll be happy. When they look for the long, I want this company to look to the long term, not the short term. It might even hurt the stock for a little while, but believe me when I say the benefits would be long term, would be glorious. So this stock is well underneath its support. Thank you very much for the $2. We've basically got here the 73, terrible earnings and all sorts of badness. And then it's floated down into this area. The next zone, where do we go? I mean, is it $60? Is it going to float here? Too early to tell. This is definitely a falling knife, chat. We need some knives in the chats. We've got a falling knife. It has gone through the weekly 20 before, so we know that. Let's go to have a look at the daily. Gap. So that's what probably some people are going to try to trade. They want to take that gap up. Look, I could see it bouncing, hitting 73, and then having problems. That's the problem. There's no real super strength through this level. No super strength. Guess 64 is not bad. You got the previous supports. Got the previous resistance. Okay, that's more fair around there. So you're probably just looking for a base formation, ideally. And then you can get involved in it. If you like it as an investment, I mean, it's kind of around that zone. And the next area would be about a 57-ish. Amish Cyborg says, I'll agree to falling knife for Activision. Yeah, Activision just haven't really been thinking about their longer term scenario. So I think the problem here for a trader is that you've got to go break it down to smaller time frames. If you want the smaller time frame, trough, peak, higher trough, higher peak, then you're looking for a breach of this zone here, which is around 68, 80, 69. When that happens, highly likely it'll try to get back to the 73. And that could be a trade in itself. So there you go. Excuse me. Finken says, no new games, no new releases, no fixes for past mistakes. It's dying unless they can pull off magic. I don't see $50. I don't see it. $50, and I'm calling it. Yeah, they need to shake it up. And I don't know how he survived, actually. I don't know how the CEO survived. I really don't. I'm surprised he did. Usually people get kicked pretty fast in the world of corporates. So Amazon, another one just quickly here I want to talk about. It's down a little bit today. Some people said, but Tom, you're bullish on this. I am. When you've got weakness in the market, nothing is really safe. The chances are that it kind of could do something like this, remember, as well. We've still got that downward trend line. We take a look at the weekly. This will be something that we want to confirm. The weekly at this stage is still annoying. Remember, the daily is pointing, oh, bull, 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 everything's great. The weekly still isn't technically through here. So that's that second confirmation we look for. Got our first confirmation of recovery. Now we need our second confirmation, which ideally would be a weekly above this 35-30 zone. God, I don't even know why it's that area. We're about 2 minutes off the close. Let's have a look. So the market has come down on the US 500. It's now down 0.01. US 100 up 0.24, but down still a lot from where it was. And the Dow down the most, coming down 0.41. I think the NAS is only really up because of the IWM. Let's move through a few more stocks quickly here, do some rapid fire, anything that shows interest. TTD has been incredibly strong recently. Let's go to PayPal. So PayPal, very weak, got through that support. The problem with Square here as well is PayPal is a falling knife and a half. There was no turnaround story here, unfortunately. Only investors were probably looking. That's why I said traders, you need to wait for that lightning bolt kind of action. And I could see PayPal going a 180 on the price target now. I know that sucks, but I could see it because it's in the middle of nowhere land. Some people might say, but Tom, what about that resistance becoming support and $200? Yeah, I feel it. That's also an opportunity, but gets another further weakness day. All of a sudden, we're talking about 180 price targets on this. Josie says, rip my PayPal. Yeah, it hasn't been ideal, has it? That was the earning got you there, and it went really bad. And we kind of were alerted to the technicals not working when we first thought it was strong with the trade up here, and it just could not work, which sucked. Gary, Saini, Tom, Wall Street is dropping. The close, you think gapping down and flush trap with gap close rally. Also, when do we retest lows after November 12 CSNAX? So people probably looking a little bit too much into the CSNAX data that I give you. November 12 CSNAX is not that strong. I use it for a reason, and that's because it's pretty compelling. It looks compelling. But the real strength in that whole trade, let's go back to the US 500 just quickly here. The real strength in this whole trade, guys, is that we're hitting key technical resistances. So we're hitting the resistance. We've had an exhaustive move, and you've got to ask yourself the question, what's happening here? The RSI is overbought massively. The stochastic is overbought massively. Every indicator possible is just like, woo, it's screaming a little bit too aggressive, guys. We've hit the resistance, and we come into what is technically a statistical time of potential mid-month weakness. 12th of November doesn't mean that's the low every time or anything like that. It just so happened that it was compelling to the information that we were talking about. Remember that with stats, you can find a lot of stats that were good. Mid-Novembers, I see them all the time, find weakness through mid-November, but I don't know the 12th is the end. The most likely scenario here on all of these pairs is that we at least get into that 20 moving average, which is historically normal, bounces off that, and worst case scenario really hit that 50. That's my belief, because I don't usually see a market not being able to come back to the 20, and when it keeps running, which we're bullish the whole time, when it hits that top end range of the Nasdaq and the S&P, and we've got great technicals, we can't ignore it. We can't ignore it. So you think gap down, then flush trap. So basically, if it gap down into the 20, highly likely it bounces from a statistical standpoint. The reason why is because you're hitting the 20. So let's say we gap down. Let's say the futures trade down. It hits the 20 moving average through the futures trade. We open there. Is there a likelihood it would buy off that zone? Yes, it would try to fill that gap up. And then there's that chance that actually it would still turn over. But the trade there would be to try to find strength in the morning off the 20 moving average. You would be correct. Pullbacks are healthy too. That's right. Pullbacks are good. If you get too much vertical, then you will go crazy. Now, I know today's stream, some of you might say, but Tom, you didn't look at enough stocks today. You didn't find me opportunities. I'm sorry, guys. It's hard to find sweet opportunities in terms of every single stock that you're looking at as a buy level when you believe the 20 moving averages is coming. I mean, there's a lot of weakness through that. I mean, the commodities are really where the bigger trades are at right now, in my belief. And if we go through, some of our favorites like Enphase, what a beast, sitting at 250 now. And the whole TAN index, let's have a look at the TANs right now and see where that's at. The whole TAN index is still looking fantastic. I mean, here's the resistances. It's come off that base, and now it's bulling again, and TAN's going towards that 107, you would think, for the index itself. So very, very strong action here coming through the solar index at this stage. Very strong. So we've closed. Past the close, we're looking at pretty much flat on SPX. US 100 up 0.2-ish. US 30 down 0.36. Any hope for PayPal? Yeah, 200 and 180 are very high hopes for it to hold up. Chris Smith says, is the market muted or skewed today because the bond market is closed for Veterans Day? Yes, it is definitely much slower because of that. Yes. I just wanted to show everyone something that I was talking to the mentorees about. And I wanted to just quickly remind everybody, because a lot of people say, oh, we're in a bubble. We're in, everything's made. It's so expensive, blah, blah, blah. And I just want to remind everyone of what is potentially capable of happening in markets. And this is, of course, the famous story of the Nikkei. And I just wanted to quickly show everybody this, because whatever you think is possible, crazy things can happen. So here is the Nikkei growing through, of course, the 80s into 85, into 86, into 87, 88, 89 to 90. So you can see that last 2 years of growth, very huge. After it already looked like it kind of wiped itself out with a 20% drop, went bearish actually for a point there statistically. And it went and did a 43% above this. Now, at this point, prices were insane. So you've got to think, well, what did this really mean? And I'm pretty sure Kathy Wood might have said this the other day, but a lot of people know this story. So let's see if anyone's got big brain out there and they know this. So there was property in Japan that we all know was never recovered. Some is literally still not recovered to this day. So there was a particular, let's call it, I don't know if it's a temple or some piece of land in the city. And this piece of land was valued at a huge, huge, huge amount of money. Now, what was it equal to in the US? Does anyone know? Does anyone know what it was equal to? It's really important to know this type of stuff, so you can get a bit of an idea of what's capable in these markets. Even though you think it's stupid, which it is, what markets are capable of doing. So this temple thing is one piece of land. Now, admittedly, it was big, but it's still one piece of land in Japan itself was equal to all of the property in Cali. So that one piece of land was worth more than all of the property in the state of California. Andrew's got it. Yeah. So, I mean, you want to talk about mega bubbles. There was a mega bubble. And that's why I always say that people misinterpret the way I look at China, because I was over in China. I was talking to this guy and he's like laughing at me. He's like, "What do you think my house worth, bro?" I said, "I don't know, man. Like $1.5 million. And this place was about 300 square meters. Okay. So 300 square meters in Beijing in the first, I think it was the second ring. Okay. They have rings over there or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, I was laughing at him. This was in 2016, by the way. And I said, "Oh, yeah, $1.5 million." And I said $1.5 million Aussie. And USD, I think I said. And he's like lolling at me so much. He's laughing on the ground almost. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You don't know how much it's worth." I said, "No." Anyway, he ended up telling me it was US $10.5 million. And I said, absolute lies. Okay. This place was not that good. You would consider it a dump. Okay. A dump. US $10.5 million. It was true. I saw what his next door neighbor sold for. Phenomenal cash over there. So that house was worth like $2 trillion. I'm not sure what it was comparatively, but it was worth certainly a lot. And that's why for me, we always need to believe what there's a possibility that bubbles go a lot further, and you've got to always think about that. Think about what happened with Bitcoin. How many people thought back in 2017 we would even hit 20K? What did that mean for the markets back then? I mean, we were going from 1,000 to 20. That was a 20x. Some big moves. Let's quickly speak about crypto here. So my gut feel turned out to be relatively truthful, I guess. We did push down fairly significantly. I can see why people would have bought this previous resistance become support area. I'm still not 100% convinced that Bitcoin's out of the sideways action. I know it went and broke, and technically you would always say, "But Tom, it broke a new high. Shouldn't we be bullish?" Yeah, you should be bullish on the long-term method. But yeah, it made sense for it to come down after that hype kind of came into the markets again. I could see it going right down and possibly even hitting back into 60 before it rallies. This is a good zone, first zone though, for Bitcoin. Definitely a good zone. Ethereum, a little bit stronger on the charts. We expect this. ETHBTC still looks good. And what we're looking for is ETHBTC. We load it up here. We're looking for that to hit that point, the magical 0.08. Look at this, double tweezer. Very nice. Beautiful. I love the double tweezer. Michael H, thank you so much. CLH Celsius natural energy drink. Really? 28% revenue beat this more. Sales up 150% from last year. Is this the next Monster E? It's very good. I have tried it. All right. Well, let's use the chat here, Michael. Has anyone drunk Celsius natural energy drink? This isn't another nutrient water, is it? It's not another nutrient water, is it? Is this the stock here? 4.7% up. Let's have a look at the weekly. It's worth 7.27 billion. So it's not like it hasn't already flown. Wow. It really flew. This is the crazy thing. This is why I get into this obesity concept, and healthcare is going to do so well in the future. Think about it. This natural, inverted commas, who knows if it's natural or not, energy drink is up to $100. Monster, still probably the raw best percentage investment in the markets. I still think it would be the best percentage because remember, it started in the cents and it's worth what it is now. So I'm pretty sure that's the biggest percentage gain still in the markets. This CLH thing has been pretty consistent with finding that 20 weekly, by the way, is finding a lot of strength. What's Monster actually worth in cap? 48.67 billion. Oh, I don't know if I can get behind these drink companies. I understand you're rallying them and stuff. The problem I have with them all is that I believe it's due to depression. You could disagree with me, but I believe all of this stuff is due to depression. And that's why if we look at the Sol Active obesity index, you'll notice it's done so well. I mean, this is actually, sadly enough, one of my plays. And the reason that I love the Sol Active obesity index is because it's been consistently very good in these types of downturns. Whenever you have economic instability and you have these types of terrible things that happen to human psychology, unfortunately, often health is the thing that pays. So, yeah, I think that CLH or Celsius, it's at a resistance, that 110. It's come back down to 97. Don't have any clear TA really around this. It had that little breakout ahead of earnings, and then earnings met expectations, it looks like, more than anything else. So I could see it just basically hovering or still finding a little bit of strength. I mean, the rally is not over. It's clearly not finished yet. Do we have any trend lines? That bottom, that back trend line there, it's pretty good. It's not acting super technically. When you get breakouts, it's often false. So I think it's trading more fundamentally or just hype driven. It's not a very technical looking stock to me. I'd probably like that trend line in the back. That's my thought process. Sorry, Michael. But what did people say about it? Do they like this? Thomas says, I love Monster. I love nutrient water in high school. Ugh, that was such a scam. Celsius sucks, says Diz Diamond Hander. Says sucks. To get distribution, they would need to sell to Coke, Pepsi, or like Monster did. They could also probably, actually, they probably would have to get the distribution. And distribution is a big thing. But I've never heard of this thing. It seems expensive. Gordon Poljak Sec 109. Hey, Tom, been on vacation for a couple of weeks? No worries, man. Enjoy. I hope you had a good time. Did not watch you much? That's okay. As I would like. Are you excited about Polkadot auctions? I sure am. Moonbeam and Akala leading with almost 1 billion raised each. Well, little known, Gordon, I do have some Akala in the first round. So I do love Akala and I love Polkadots. But I've made it known it's always been my favorite crypto in terms of the alternative cryptos. I'm excited for Polkadot. I think it's pretty good. I don't really know much about cryptos in terms of the inner workings. I'm not going to say I do. I have a basic philosophy. You guys know what that philosophy is. One philosophy is that Bitcoin is an index, as I see it, and that's why it's worth money. Anything trying to fix transactions is meh in my book. I don't really like it very much. And anything that has a network that's built around creating other coins on it, or other coins get launched on it or anything like that, in my book is interesting. And I like it very much because it creates news. And when you create news, you create hype. And when you create hype, the public don't forget about you. And therefore your coin continues. That's how I say it. So yes, Gordon, I am excited about Polkadot and I like all the things that they're currently doing. And it is one of my favorite coins. And in many ways still cheap in comparison to the price of something like an ADA. I do think, though, everyone's a little bit excited about Polkadots. This kind of reminds me of when everyone was excited about ADA too, and then they forgot about it. And it came down. 230, still looking for the breakout here, guys, on ADA, by the way. What do you say about Paysafe's fall, PSFE gaming payment system? Sounds crappy. Stock sounds crappy in general. Oh, that's nasty. 424. I know we've looked at this a lot. I think I'm always, it's a SPAC. This is what I say about it. I fixed it. There we go, guys. No, if you're in it, seriously, you've got to really just always remember the stories that are provided to you about these beginning stocks might sound compelling. It's just like a coin, crypto. Look, you got to be able to cut through it. I mean, I see it all the time. Space stock was the biggest one. The stories written by people and the ideas that people had on the forums, they were insane. It's just not possible. You've got to really think, can you cut through the crap? I mean, this thing looks dead as a doornail, I've got to say. I mean, it looks terrible. I mean, does anyone like this? Chat? Does anyone like this? It just looks really bad. What do I really think about this? I think it's trash. But I don't know enough about truly what the company is doing. I just think the idea is partially trash. Here's some trash ideas that I've seen in Australia right now. Buy now, pay later. How is this technology, firstly? Okay. So buy now, pay later is not technology in my opinion, in my book. It existed 20 years ago. But now you can buy now, pay later on food. So basically, you can get food delivered to your house and you can buy now and pay later on food. Does anyone think that's cool? Let's see. Chat. This is the first one. Buy now, pay later food. Do you like that? Food. So that's a good one. Then I saw the next one. Buy now, pay later on education. So you can now pay for your child's school fees later using buy now, pay later technology. I mean, it's getting out of control. And people love these stories. They love them. They think they're all good. They're pigeonholed positions. What is your moat? Basically nothing. You don't have the ability. Every other one of the buy now, pay later companies can just come in and eat your business. And I think that's the problem with here. That's why I bring it up. This company has the capability. It's gone, okay, we're pay for payments for, let's say, gaming. Okay, that's a massive industry. But everybody else can come in and they can also steal your business. And that's the big problem. Says, student loans been around for a while. Yeah, I know. It's buy now, pay later for parents to pay for their kids get through high school. It's not that the loans don't exist. It's just a whole new ridiculous technology that isn't technology. Giovanni, $2. Hey, Tom, hope all has been well. TA on NKE. Yeah, cool. Let's do that. Check out Nike. So Nike, big run up here. Beat the overall previous high, obviously had that earnings. You can see again, earnings does not necessarily dictate what the stock's going to do next because the earnings came out and the stock ended up rallying after that, similar to what we're hopefully going to see in an Amazon situation at this stage. Nike's pretty damn high. It's in a seasonal that's fairly strong for it, being the November period. So there are relevant kind of pull-ups. I could see it coming back down here before it turns. This was the truly great pickup level. So the TA here on Nike is not that great. I wouldn't probably trade it. I'd be more prevalent to your investment side if that's what you want, because it's not really, if we're talking about trading, we'd be going down to like a 2-hour time frame or 1 hour. And we'd say, well, it's broken our upward trend. So all of our trend that was here, see how it was so good? It's broken that. So things aren't looking too strong on this stock anymore. This was, oh, bad. Peak, trough, lower peak, lower trough, bad news. I think 160. There's the next stop for it. Michael H, $1.99. Chainlink TA levels to watch. Okay. Have a look at Chainlink. This is obviously a popular crypto, but kind of has a hateful community, I feel. Not sure why everyone hates on the community so much. So levels to watch for Chainlink. We've got trend line on the back. Very strong trend line here. So there's your trend line. currently going through. Daily 20 also been quite good. Unfortunately, it tried to have a breakout today and failed to do it. We talked about it yesterday. We need to break out 35 plus on the closure. Okay, daily closure plus. We need to get a proper 35 plus, not this little 35.06. I want like a 35, maybe 40 or something, like a significant closure out. This is a good level for it to get through. Next stop is 42.50, in my opinion, to 45. So this range up here, and I'll put a little line up there for you. I've done some study on this one. This is something I've also been looking at now for a few weeks. It's trading fairly technically, so you can't really deny that it's been pretty good. Let's just load that up. Yeah, so I'll go with the trend line. Is still holding very strong. You can see that dump into the bounce, 35, 40, and then 42. And then above that would be the previous all-time highs. So somewhere around this 50-ish flat dollars. Still very good potential here. Looking at percentages, you're talking about 23 and 41. Lee Smith, $4.99. Please TA MNDY 420 resistance. Let's have a look. MNDY. Hyundai.com. Very little TA you can do. It's not old enough. So Lee, I'm sorry. You have possibly paid money for not much here in terms of TA, other than me to have a rant about how you can't TA things that are this short in the markets. Look, you know that there's something going on with the 400 price. Something obviously happened here where it rallied. Maybe it was earnings. Maybe it was just pre-earnings, and then it dumped. My thought process is always going to be very, very similar with these types of things. While it is holding, this is obviously technology here. The daily is just nothing. What can I say? There's no history. It doesn't tell me how it acts. The weekly, did that close above? Okay, so maybe the only thing you can really do is say, strong weekly close above 400 would be very bullish for this stock. It's clearly having problems with that zone, and you've got the chance of a double top forming here should it get through 320. And I would be very scared if it got underneath 320, because where's the double top going to end? 240. So this is probably more of a story of using TA to be scared of the bottom end. I could certainly see that happening. Get underneath 320, bad news. That is bad news. For a newish IPO, 240 would be the next target. That is not a strong looking weekly at this stage. Snap still struggling. Yeah. So sometimes people always think that there's this buy the dip, it's going to bounce straight up. That was not the case on Snap. And this is what happens. It probably will try to recover later, but we haven't seen the turnaround story yet. Let's go to the daily. Again, just plugging away there, creating a little channel-y area. And this is exactly what you hope for. You hope for accumulation and then a sign of volume increasing as it breaks out in the future. And we'll watch Snap. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about it. It's still there for a reason. But we can't get through there now. Same as Zillow? Yeah. Buy now, get it forgiven. It's called a student loan. Yeah, you're a bit further back there. All these companies that are offering these opportunities to buy something now and pay later, it's just a credit card or any normal loan. But again, it's the ease of use. And I've used pay, whatever, Afterpay. I didn't mind it. It was all right. But I don't need it in my life. It's not essential. I can see why people use it. I just think that now they're getting crazy with buy now, pay later, everything. All right, guys, that probably ends us for the stream today. I don't really think there's anything spectacular in the markets right now. We're still looking at what happens in terms of, is there that weakness into the US 500, into the daily 20? So just to finish, remember, we're looking for that daily 20 ideally at this stage. We're looking for that US 100 into here, and then we can make better decisions about stocks that we're looking for. There's not that many that are breaking out towards the buy sides here. Baba obviously isn't at this stage. 180 is what we're looking for there. SPLK, well, that's just doing its own little thing over here. Rob Lee's got one, which is CSIQ. Looks good. Double bottom and breakout, $3. Thank you very much. Let's have a look. Okay. Let's go to the weekly. It looks okay, but the problem is you've also got this downward trend that you've got to compete with. So the double bottom that Rob is talking about is here. So yes, I do agree. There's the breakout. It's hit it once. Now, the importance of this is we've already gone and hit it once. It has one time second rallied. Actually, it's twice second rallied here. It's a good base. Earnings is coming up, and that's why I believe it's here. 7 days till earnings. It's probably going to hover around this area here, and then earnings will decide whether it goes through or it doesn't. And that's your main problem here, the earnings. Good volume. Nice base story at 32.50. Problematic area. That's what I'm thinking. NFL says, great show, Tom. Thank you so much. Your IWM level helped a great deal. No worries, man. It's all good. And Thad really wants J&J. Let's have a look at J&J. Nothing's really changed on J&J since I mentioned it a few weeks ago, Thad. We still have a very good story coming into it. We have obviously the rejection wicks down the bottom. Unfortunately, we have now 2 weeks of long leg doji, so two weeks, and we've still got this problematic zone of 165. So the story coming into J&J, very, very good. Div coming out soon, but we need to get above this 166. If you do get above 166, then you really start the FOMO train, and that's where you could get that 170 plus kind of area. But long leg doji, it's just not doing it right now. It's stuck in the range. See the importance of this 166? Daily 200, resistance. Very important area. No worries, Thad. Gotcha. 200 is the MA. The rest should be EMAs. DraftKings about to go down to $38. Truly. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah, see. Nasty. Yeah. $38, you reckon? Possibly even 36, man. Bit of a sad note to finish on. All right. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you in the videos. And obviously, I'll be doing the weekend video on my time Sunday, Saturday in the US. Thanks so much. We should hit 70,000. Let me actually check. Let me see if I can celebrate with you. 1 second here. Did we hit it yet? No. we never get many subs during the live stream. It's mostly you guys that obviously have been coming back for more and more and more. So I do appreciate all of you. We'll hit 70 tomorrow. All good. Thanks so much. Victor Lau says Scott Morgan will be sad. He will. He really loves this stock. Yeah, he really loves this stock. Oh, that's sad too. It hit that resistance and came down. Falling knife, didn't bounce. We had faith that it may close through the top end here, and it just didn't do it for him. And then, of course, everything since then has been downhill. It's inevitable. All right. See everybody. Bye for now.